Welcome to the Mixed Movement, where we speak candidly about the uncommon commonalities that people of mixed race face in our world today. Here, we listen, share, learn, and acknowledge that through our stories, we are all connected. We are your hosts,
Nate,
Chris,
and Rachel Go. Welcome to the show.
hello everyone, and welcome to the show. We have a very special guest with us today, Vanessa Underwood. Welcome. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm great.
Awesome.
We're excited to have you here with us, and we want to gain some insight into the journey of raising Brandon. Brandon is your biracial son who is now 24 years old. Congratulations.
Thank you.
So, why don't you tell me a little bit about yourself?
Well, I'm 24 myself, so I'd like to think I am. Mentally, I am in my head. All right. I grew up in western suburbs of Chicago my entire life. I am white. Yeah.
Are you?
I know.
Oh,
It's crazy.
the things you learned. Oh
Mm,
my gosh.
I was raised, both my parents still married, 51 years.
Congratulations.
Yeah, I don't know how. I couldn't imagine being married to the same person for 50 something years. I would go crazy. Hence why I'm so independent and single.
Got it.
I grew up in a very small town, but surrounded by many suburbs of very diverse neighborhoods.
Okay.
I attended a high school that fed in from many different towns with diverse neighborhoods in it. There was, the rich kid neighborhood
Mhm.
and the poor kid neighborhood and
Mhm.
the middle class neighborhood, which I wouldn't give up for anything in the world. I just talked to somebody about this today. I wouldn't give up that experience for anything in the world.
Awesome.
I worked for 911 for 25 years until recently when I left.
Oh my God.
I had to have something to do to raise that kid as a single mom. Trying to think, what else could I tell you about myself? Yeah, I mean, that's, I was a single mom for many years. I mean, I was married to his dad for technically 6 years.
Okay.
I think we were only together for those 6 years.
Okay. Got it.
And then we managed to stay friends for the first 10 years of
Oh wow.
Brandon's life. And then
No.
things exploded and we haven't spoken in, let's see, if Brandon's 24, we haven't spoken in 14 years. Yes.
Right.
So,
Well, tell me about the interracial dating part
Oh.
of your life.
okay.
How did that play off with friends and family and
I got a lot of, not a lot. I got a little bit of flack from the older generation. My group of friends, my generation, no one really said anything. It was more my parents' generation
Mm.
that would make comments. I also chose to date somebody that was 13 years older than me.
Oh.
Yeah, which was another issue. So not
Yeah.
only was he black, but he was 13 years older than me.
Okay.
And so it was, you two are too different. There's too many differences between the two of you, the cultural differences. People would say stuff like that. And my response to them was honestly, well, you don't have to go home and sleep with that person, so it's none of your business. And that's simply what I would say to people. My family, not just my immediate family, but my extended family, my cousins, my aunts and uncles, nobody really had an issue ever.
Okay.
And if they did, they didn't say anything to me.
Gotcha.
I don't know if that's because I have a big mouth and they just didn't want to hear it, or if they didn't really care.
Okay.
But no one has ever, in my extended or immediate family, ever really claimed they had an issue or said it. But maybe my friend's parents did,
Yeah, it's
or
possible.
people did say
talk, yeah.
people did say little things here and there.
Yeah,
So,
but not enough to
cause any kind of strife, issue. Because I think if they did, I just would have cut them out of my life. Honest
Yeah.
to God, you know how I am, and
Yep.
I don't put up with people's. And you probably should have put in the beginning of the podcast that I'm pretty blunt.
I love that about you. That is one of the things I love so much.
So yeah,
about you. Yeah.
you should have pre-warning that my mom's gonna go. So I wouldn't have put up with anybody's bullshit.
Right.
So I just would have cut him out of my life.
Right. As you should.
Yes.
So what about when you found out you were pregnant?
So, you want my parents' reaction?
Yes,
Oh, this is fantastic.
absolutely.
So, when I found out I was pregnant, my cousin was in town from Virginia, and I didn't wanna say anything because I thought it was not the right time. So I kept it quiet, and, anybody that knows me knows that my face gives away everything. So my mother kept hounding me. "What's wrong? What's wrong? Something's wrong." And I remember I was standing on the back porch of their house and I just blurted it out. Like I could not take it anymore. I was like, "I'm pregnant." And my mother her reaction, now I was only 18 years old at this point.
Mhm.
Her reaction was, "Oh, I guess I need to make sure you're still covered on my insurance."
Oh,
And I was like, "What
wow.
what the like seriously? This is your
That's
like
it?
that's it?"
Oh
And
my god.
I was more afraid to tell her than I was my dad because I was so close to my dad. I could tell my dad anything.
Mhm.
And then she started making me scared to tell him because she started, "Oh no, what are we going to tell? Oh God, your dad." Oh, and I was like, "Holy shit, what am I going to do?" Like, if she's afraid to tell him, like, I was terrified. So she's like, "Well, we got to go in and tell him." So he's laying in bed reading a book and, she was like, "Bruce, Vanessa needs to talk to you." And he stops reading and he didn't even look my way really. He's like, "What?" And I was, well, ooh, and he's like, "Spit it out." And I was like, "I'm pregnant." And he goes, "Okay." And he went back to reading. And I was like, "Okay." Okay, like what, like, are you gonna yell at me? And he's like, "What's the point? What's done is done."
All
Like,
right.
okay.
Mm.
And I just sat there like, "What the fuck, man?" Like, seriously. And
Wow.
yes, like, of course, they're 2 big hippies. I
Mhm.
should have, and that's why I've told people before, like, the reaction you may get
Mhm.
isn't what you might expect,
Right.
because that's not the reaction I expected from them.
Mhm.
And they were so accepting, absolutely wonderful, and
Oh.
I yeah, I was shitting my pants. And those 2 were just like, "Okay." So, like, "Let's go, we're gonna have a grandkid." And
Aw.
yeah, I can tell you this, I was not as accepting of Brandon's sister, who was not even my biological child, at the age of 21 telling me she was pregnant, as my
Oh.
parents were of me being 18, which is
Wow.
screwed up. But that was it was a different scenario too, but oh, yeah. Yeah, it was
Oh
not
boy.
yeah. It's a
That's
good story to tell you
interesting.
in a yes, it is,
That's
isn't it? Yeah.
interesting. Hmm.
I was not as accepting. In fact, I flipped out, which
Oh,
is a good story to tell you in a little bit.
okay.
Mhm.
Well, when you accepted, everybody knew that, okay, now you're gonna have this baby. Did you start to think about the fact that this is a biracial child and what he may experience? How would I prepare him? Or, in the setting that you were in, it was totally accepting. Did you think about outside of the house what he might go through?
Naively? No, I
Mhm.
didn't. I never did, until he was born, and sadly, the first person who made that aware to me was his grandmother on his dad's side.
How'd she do that?
She and her brother, I can't remember what it was that they called him, but, they had a nickname for him, and it used to upset me. It used to They didn't do it in front of me, but I remember my ex-husband coming home, and he would tell me, and I wish I could remember to this day what it was, but I don't remember. They had a nickname for him, and it pertained to the fact that he was half white,
Oh, wow.
and, she didn't particularly care for me because I was white. I
Mm.
was the ghost.
Oh, my.
Oh, yes. In fact,
Ugh.
the day after I first met her, he had called his mom, and I remember her saying, I could hear her over the phone saying, "Don't think I don't know what you're doing bringing that white woman around here. Oh yeah.
Oh my
Yeah.
God.
Oh yeah. She never liked me, and it was fine. It was, it is what it is. But they did have a nickname for him, and that was the first time like it actually in my head thought
Mhm.
like, okay, this might be an issue. And I
Yeah.
was naive to that because growing up, I
Mhm.
had tons of black friends. Like I
Mhm.
grew up my entire life being
Mhm.
around people of different ethnicities that
Right.
to me it was not something that I was like I didn't think about that. I really didn't.
It's a beautiful bubble to be in.
It was,
Until you
yeah,
have
until
to
you
step
realize,
outside the
yeah.
bubble and it's like, whoa, what is this? I don't like this.
Oh, and now ask me, and now Brandon checks me for going after people for
Wow.
yes.
'Cause it's gotta be exhausting.
Yes. I get offended by stuff that Brandon doesn't even get
Yeah.
offended by racially, and I will.
That's that mama.
Oh yeah, I will.
That's
Like if I
that's that
hear
mama.
somebody use the N word, I've kicked some guy in the balls for. Oh yeah, for it. He had warning. He had warning. I
Well,
said,
there you go.
say it one more time and watch what
Mhm.
happens. He said it one more time. That was the end.
You did warn him.
I did warn him. You had warning.
Hey.
You had warning to get away from me too. I just back then I didn't even think about it. Now I think about it a lot
Wow.
and I worry about it.
So, did Brandon's father have a lot of input into raising him or just early on or
Early on, he did. We did a good job the first 10 years
Mhm.
of getting along even after we got divorced. We remained good friends. Unfortunately, I think he didn't have a choice but to kind of cut me out of his life based on his
Other activities?
yes,
Oh.
and we ended up back in court
Mm.
and there was a big battle and the relationship between him and Brandon at some points got rocky
Right.
and they have since now that Brandon's older they have since repaired that relationship and they
Okay.
do stuff together
Oh, that's
and
good.
yeah, which I'm very happy about and I never wanted to pin them like I don't like when parents pin each other against each other.
Right.
So even if
Right.
Mike did something that I hated or that made me angry or I would never tell tell Brandon because
Right.
I didn't want him to not have a relationship with his father. You know what
Right.
I mean?
Right.
Um so even till today, I don't think it's necessary that he knows what went on in my marriage. And I've told him that.
Right.
Like there has been an incident where maybe I've seen my ex-husband and made a comment
Mm.
verbally out loud so he would hear it. And Brandon, he got mad. And I did check him and I said, you know what? That's my marriage. So
Yeah.
keep out of it. Like, I get it. That's your dad, but that was
Yeah.
my marriage. So
You're
mind
allowed
your
to have your
business. And I'm allowed
feelings.
to have my
Yep.
feelings and all that.
Absolutely.
But up until probably that whole incident where we ended up back in court, he no longer wanted to have any interaction with me. He didn't want to talk to me. I was the most evil person on the world because he
Oh
had to pay
my.
child support.
Oh my.
Um,
Mm.
then I didn't take into account anything. Like, then fine, then we're done. I'll
Right.
just raise him how I'm gonna fucking raise
There
him,
you
and
go.
your ass is
You're
I don't
lost.
care. Yeah, like I'm done. I'm not
Yeah.
gonna take into account any of your wishes. Like you can piss off then, because
Right.
I'm not doing this shit. So,
Hmm.
um, plus I think I'm kind of a very strong, bold.
Yeah? You
Yeah,
think? I
yeah,
think so
kind of.
too.
And
I have to agree with you there.
I'm just gonna do whatever the hell I want to do anyway. So
Exactly.
it's pointless in arguing with me. And I think he realized that too. There's no
Yeah.
point in, but yeah.
Gotta let it go.
I'm
Gotta
glad
let
that
it
they
go.
have the relationship they have,
Yeah.
and I'm glad that they still do things together, and yes.
It's good to let the kids form their own
Yes,
opinions,
absolutely.
because that is two different relationships.
Mhm.
You've got your marriage, your relationship with him, and that's his dad. So
Yes.
it's like if the things that you feel about him, if he does things then to Brandon that makes him feel that way, then that's on him. Has nothing to do with you. That is their relationship separate from yours. So,
I can tell you, there was a time Brandon did come to me when things were bad between them, and he did ask me like, should I try and make up with my dad? And I did tell him I can't answer that. What I can say to you is that if that were my dad doing that, my personality, I wouldn't have anything to
right.
do with them.
Yep.
But I'm not you. And I can't
Right.
tell you not to have a relationship with your dad, because if I do that, then I'm the asshole who told you not to have a relationship
Right.
with your dad.
Right.
If I tell you to go have a relationship with your dad and it turns out bad, then I'm the asshole who told you to have a relationship
Right.
and it turned out bad. Right. So you got to make the decision on
Yeah.
your own.
Absolutely.
Like, I can't tell you what to do in regards to this.
No.
I just know what I would do.
Right.
You have to do it on your own. And he has. And they have the relationship they have. And
Well, that's good.
yeah.
That's good. How about, when he wasn't really in Brandon's life,
Yeah.
did your parents step
Oh,
in
God.
or
My parents are amazing. Holy crap. I wouldn't have been able to do it without my parents. Um, I say all the time, I feel for people who do not have a support system. And I don't know how those mothers or fathers, the single ones, I don't know how they do it. My parents were absolutely wonderful and amazing in raising that child. I worked in 911, so you don't have a normal work schedule.
No.
My mom did everything with that kid. She brought him to all his basketball games, brought him to all his baseball games. I mean, at one point in high school, his freshman year of high school, playing basketball, they actually thought Brandon was her kid
Oh, wow.
and I was his sister.
Oh.
Yes. So don't get me wrong. I thought it was amusing that they all thought that Mary banged a black guy. I was like, oh, this is great. Like, this is fantastic. I was like, yeah. And at one point she actually was like, oh, this is my son, Brandon. I was like, excuse me. Like, no, that's your grandson.
Oh
Like,
my
what are you
gosh.
doing? Like, what are you doing
He's
taking
just
credit?
falling in the role.
But
Yeah.
he was the golden child to him. And he still is the golden child to my mother. That that kid can do no wrong when it comes to my mom. But he was the first grandkid,
Mm.
and
Mhm.
we lived with her for so long because it was pointless for us to live alone
Right.
on our own. Because I was at work. If he was at school, then he'd leave school. He'd have to go to my mother's house, and then I'd have to pick him up, wake him up at 11 o'clock to take him home to go back into bed to then wake him up in the morning. But it was
That's too
stupid.
much.
It was
Yeah.
just stupid.
Yeah.
And so we lived with her for so long that she, she raised my parents helped raise him. That's why I think he has the personality of my
Yeah.
father.
Yeah.
He's so chill and laid back like my dad
Mhm.
that I think I think that's why.
That's awesome.
Because he had that influence,
Mhm.
and I couldn't have done it without them. I really couldn't have.
That's such a oh
Yes,
my
they
gosh,
are
that's such a
amazing people.
blessing.
Yes, when I brought him home from the hospital, and my ex-husband was working midnights, and I got really sick. One of the first days I brought him home, like I had a fever of like 100 and something. I was miserable. They stayed up with him all night long, the entire night, so that I could sleep, like, overnight. These are,
Aw.
like, 40-something-year-old my dad was 50,
Mhm.
my mom would have been, like, 45. They were up with him all night, taking care
Aw.
like, yeah, it
Aw.
was they were amazing.
See,
Yes,
I know your parents. I
yes,
love your parents. They're my parents too. I
yes,
love
and
them so much.
my dad calls you his daughter,
I
like,
love him. Oh my god.
they're
They're the best. They are.
yeah.
I can only imagine like being in the house with them all the time.
Th
It must have been incredible.
My parents do stuff that even I wouldn't like. I used to tell Brandon sometimes, and I love this. He came up with some like crazy idea once, like at 16, like, yeah, me and my friends are gonna drive to California. I was like, fuck no, you're not. Like, what are you thinking? Oh, grandma and grandpa let you do this. And I was like, they're my parents. The difference is
Right.
is that I'm your parent and I'm
There you
saying no.
go.
It's not fair. I was like, yes, it is.
Yeah.
Like, they're crazy, and like they would let me do stupid shit like that. I'm not letting you do
Yeah.
that. Like, sorry, wrong parent. Like, they were they would let our friends walk in the house when we were kids and just
Yeah.
like take food out of the fridge or
Yep.
off the stove. And even if like their kids weren't home, but they were, our
Uh-huh.
friends were allowed to walk in the house and do whatever they want. No, that wouldn't have like I'd have been
That's
like,
not flying
yeah,
here.
I would have been like, "Where's your parents? And why are you in my house?" Like it just,
Right.
they were just different people, and they're yeah, they are a unique
They are.
they are two unique human beings,
No doubt.
and yeah, they're
Wouldn't trade them for anything
I
in the
wouldn't
world.
either.
Oh my God.
I can't thank them enough for the stuff that they've done for me and Brandon.
So were you ever questioned as to being Brandon's mom outside of your mom
Oh
being
yeah. Yeah.
whoa.
Oh yeah. So Brandon's first serious girlfriend could have passed as my daughter. Okay? Big boobs like me, long brown hair, white girl. She could have passed as my daughter. And people always assumed she was mine and he was the
The
boyfriend.
boyfriend.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Always. Like, we were in Victoria's Secret one time, and they were like, "Hey, mom, you wanna come see the bra she tried on?" I was like, "I'm good." Like, I was like, "Holy shit." Like, we were at a doctor's office one time, and the doctor's, like, asking her, "You ever had" I don't know, we'll just say strep throat. She's like, "I don't know. Were you vaccinated for this?" "I don't know." And they finally looked at me like, "You gonna fucking speak up?" And I was like, "I'm not her mom. Like, I'm not her mom." Like, holy, people always assumed she was mine and he wasn't,
Right.
you know?
Wow.
Because I don't think Brandon looks anything like me,
Mm,
you know? When he was younger, he was lighter skinned.
right.
Now, the older he's gotten, the darker he's gotten.
Yeah.
When he was little, he used to have, I don't even know how to put it. He used to have not as thick hair. It was thinner
Mhm.
and it was kind of blondish. And he had these
It's that sandy color.
yeah, and he had
Yeah.
these like really soft curly tendrils. Now it's like jet black and these really tight curls. Um when he smiles, I see his father.
Mm,
He's got perfect teeth like his dad.
wow.
Yeah, I mean, like, I just
Unfair.
it is. It is.
Very
He's
unfair.
not he is not me. He is so yeah,
Hmm.
people I'm assuming probably
Yeah.
that don't know me don't think
Yours.
he yeah, they don't think he's mine.
Oh my God.
I wouldn't either. I'd be like, "What's that old lady doing with that young man?" Like, gross.
So what about Brandon's friends?
Brandon grew up with the same core group of friends that he still has now.
Okay.
Same kind of, I would say, kind of diverse group of friends, but Brandon has a lot of Mexican friends.
Okay.
All of them, the same ones he still has. He does have some biracial friends.
Okay.
Most of them are Mexican. I'm trying to think if Brandon's got any white friends. Yes, yes, he does. Um, but they all pretty much 90% of them all started in preschool together. They're all still
Oh,
together. Yep.
wow.
Isn't that nuts?
Wow.
All went to school together, preschool, everything, and they're still
And they're
hanging out.
all around
They're
24 years old. Oh
all,
my
yep,
God.
yep.
That's amazing.
And they all have not left each other. One of them moved to
Oh.
Indiana, still comes and hangs out, drives. Yeah,
Oh.
it's nuts. And I love
Oh.
all of them. They're all really nice kids. And
That's a blessing.
yes, even the one that I hated as a teenager, I actually really love now. He ended up being
Oh.
a really good kid. Yeah,
Oh. They all have their stages. So you just
yeah,
don't know you never know
you don't.
which way they're gonna go. So
Yeah.
that's good. So you were mentioning Brandon's sister, which is Mike's daughter, correct?
Yes,
Okay.
from a previous relationship. So
Okay.
she's 5 years older than Brandon.
Okay.
And she is full
She's black.
yeah, she's just yeah.
Gotcha.
So, I was 18 years old, thrown in with a 5-year-old child
Mm,
that would come um she would come at Christmas for like 2 weeks, in the summer for about a month or 2.
okay.
And I had to take care of this child that, I mean, yeah, I babysat kids before, but I was left with a child that a little black girl whose hair I didn't know how to fucking do. Okay. And let me tell you something. I don't even know how to do my own hair.
Oh my
Okay.
god.
Let alone how to deal with taking a young black girl to a fucking pool and then I didn't fucking know. Yes. It was
Oh boy.
terrible, and if you ask her now, and I still have a relationship with her, a very good relationship with her, And like she came up here for my 40th birthday. And yes, and her kids, like she still tells people like that's my stepmom. And I'm like, you know, I'm not married to your dad anymore. I just don't care. You're still my
That's
stepmom. Like
beautiful.
I love her to death. Love her,
Aw.
love her children. I love that kid. And she's remained like even when we were divorced, I would take her on vacation with me when she like love her.
Aw.
She still remembers being 5 years old and me giving her like putting so much of that, I don't even know what it's called, like that hair grease in her hair that it was, oh my God, it was terrible. She can tell you this story from 5. I couldn't tell you
Oh
what I
my
did last week, and she
God.
can still tell you the story because it was probably so traumatizing to her
Oh.
because I couldn't get,
Mhm.
I didn't know what to do. Like you dumped this kid on me that I didn't know how to take care of it.
Oh.
I feel bad. I probably tormented her,
Oh.
she thinks it's funny, but it was
It
terrible.
it
Like,
is pretty
and you
funny.
don't know. Like, I used to have to tell Brandon because you guys brought up the hair story in one of your first episodes,
Mhm.
and you're right, you don't realize these things.
No.
You have no clue. And I used to have to tell Brandon when he was little because, oh, I want to grow up my hair long. You do not have hair where you're gonna grow it out and it's gonna be long and flat like mine. And I used to
No.
have to tell him that all the time. And finally I got irritated. I was like, fine, then grow out your hair. And he had an afro. And I was like, see, this is what I'm talking about.
It doesn't go
It
down. It
doesn't go
stays up.
down, it just goes out. Like, you look homeless. Cut it. Like I would have, like, I just had to prove it to him
Yeah.
because you do not have hair like mine.
No.
And I don't understand, I don't know what it's like because I don't have to deal with that. So I don't understand some of
Oh,
the things that
man.
he has to go through, just like I didn't understand the things that she had to go through. And then they look at me and like, well, why can't I? Well, I don't,
'Cause you can't,
because it's,
honey.
you
You
can't, and it's
can't.
different.
Yes.
Or, I look at them and I'm like, God damn, why can't I have that beautiful skin color? And I
Aw.
don't get comments made to me because of my skin color, but they do. And I
Yeah.
go to fucking bat. And Brandon's always like, let it go. Let it
Aw.
go. And I can't. It's hard. It is hard.
It
When he was little, I didn't think anything of it. Now I think about
Yeah.
it a lot. And there have been a few incidents that have come up that have upset me that he blows off. And
Wow.
yeah, I never thought the older he got, it would get harder.
Yeah, that's
It's
strange.
stupid, isn't it?
But he's blessed to have you.
Yeah, I love that kid to death. I don't know how I did it.
You're a phenomenal mother
Oh, thank you.
and friend
Thank
and sister and all those
Thank you.
things.
Thank you.
You've always been such an amazing advocate for everybody. Everybody. You go to bat for everyone. You're not much different from your parents.
Thank you. I don't even realize I just
That's just you.
I just want people to be decent to each other,
Please
man.
be
Don't
good
be an
humans.
asshole, man.
That's it. It's so simple, right?
It is. Like just don't be a dick. Like come on, man. And I do not like watching people being picked on.
Yeah.
Like if I see when I see that, I will and it infuriates me so much.
Yeah.
And yeah, no, I'm surprised I haven't gotten my ass kicked like 30 times and like just yeah. I mean,
Oh
A
my
and
god.
and I think a lot of people question being a parent. I'm sure you have.
Mhm.
And I say all the time, like, I always ask Brandon, like, "Is there something?" He's like, "Oh, shut up. Like, you were a great mom, just can it." And I'm like, "But," he's like, "I'm not
Aw.
listening to this. Like, I'm not listening. Just knock it off." And
Aw.
but I'm sure you can remember stuff that you feel like you screwed up.
Oh yeah.
And there's stuff I feel like I screwed up. And I think every parent feels
Every parent feels
that
that way.
way. Yeah.
Yeah.
And there were a few things I wanted to bring up from the first one that I thought of that you guys had talked about from one of the first podcasts that I was very disappointed about your grandparents disowning you. I thought
Yeah.
that was but you know what? And this is what I thought. Your grandparents lost out on having beautiful, amazing grandkids
Thank
because
you.
I love you. I don't know your sister. I've never met your sister, but I think you and your brothers are amazing and you're
Thank
so
you.
beautiful
Thank
and
you.
you guys did not deserve that. And I'm so taken back by you guys being called white by other black people. That was
Yeah, it was the thing. Um, I don't know. I think it's the only way that they could like really hit you where it hurts, and you can't really do too much about it because then what are you saying? Do you not love your mother if you're like, no, I'm not?
yeah,
You see what I'm
because you're
saying?
kind of stuck in that.
And you're like, oh, okay. So then I think a lot of times, um, people just kind of shut down, and that was me. I was like, there's nothing I can do about it. It's nothing. I'm just here. So I was very quiet. Um, and accepting of those things. But those experiences and having an opportunity, I think, to think through it and really find out who you are, I have a way better foundation. And now I'm like, I wish we could have the conversation. Because
Hmm.
now, like all the years of all the things I wish I said before, I am so ready to say them, you know? So I think that those experiences, it showed me what the world is made of. Now, I've had some negative experiences and I've had some amazing, beautiful experiences. I've felt acceptance and it was just like, oh my God, this is what it feels like. And then I felt the rejection, on site, the rejection. And so I think that you can't appreciate what it feels like to really be accepted unless you've been rejected.
I get that.
Yeah.
Okay, I get that.
So I don't, I mean, of course it's a bad place to be when you feel that way, but I needed to feel that, you know?
Yeah,
I did. I really needed to feel that. I needed to be put in a position where, you know, my mom always loving, my
yeah.
dad loving, but everybody is not my mom and dad. And I also need to know that and understand that as well, you know. And I do, and I get it. Um And as a child, I think it really molded me. It made me kinda look out for little cues, you know, "Oh, that's a red flag. Oh, there's a red flag. I see where I'm at here." Or like, "Oh, okay, they fall into this category. They're amazing people. They're accepting. I love these people are now my family,"
Yeah.
you know? And, the people on the other side, it's like, no, they just haven't evolved in my mind."
Which is insane to me because come on, we're in fucking
I
2022.
know.
How the like
It's
how is this still a
it's
thing?
still a thing. It's like a
And
disease that just won't go
like
away, you know? I
I just don't I do not understand it. I don't. Like how are we still
we're still
here?
here, yeah.
And I actually said this to our old boss one time in regards to something. And my exact words were, "I had a half black kid come out of my vagina, and I can't understand that." They're like, I really can't. I cannot relate to treated differently because of my skin color
Yeah,
because it's never happened.
it's
It's never happened to me, so I don't know what that's like, and that's fucked up.
it
It
is.
should not be that way. People
Yeah.
shouldn't like, hello,
It shouldn't.
it shouldn't be this way. They're no different than you and I.
I have a wish. I have a wish that every prejudiced person has a biracial grandchild that looks
Oh,
just
that'd
like
be
them.
fucking amazing.
Yes, give their face.
That would make their asses change real quick.
I would be so happy. So, to all those people who are prejudiced, may all your grandchildren be biracial.
So I thought of something. Brandon was, I don't even think it was a year old yet. And we were in Elmhurst. And I was holding him, and this woman came up to me and she rubbed his arm and she goes, "Oh my God, he's got the most beautiful olive skin. Is his dad Italian?" I said, "No, his dad's black." And she's like, "Oh, I'm sorry." I said, "I'm not."
Oh,
And she walked away from me. And to this day, 24 years later,
oh
it
my
still
god.
fucking pisses me off. And
Oh
I'm just like,
my
I'm
gosh.
sorry. Like, why'd you say I'm sorry?
Right.
I'm not fucking sorry. Like, really?
It's funny
Or,
how people project their own
yeah,
feelings onto you, like, "Oh, I feel
yeah,
this way, so you probably feel that way
yeah.
too."
Like,
No,
no,
I don't. Not at all. Mm-mm.
yeah, like, I wouldn't give up a minute of anything for that fucking kid. That kid,
Mhm.
you know? And I love that you guys are doing this because people really don't talk about
No.
what it's like to, and I can't wait to hear his perspective
Yes.
on it because I don't really know
Yeah, you don't.
how it is. You know,
As a
he
mom, you
had
don't know.
I don't because
Nope.
he was raised by mostly white people
Yeah.
and surrounded by mostly white
Yep.
people. And, I mean, he had his dad, but his dad married another white woman.
Mhm.
And his grandmother on that side died when he was 3 or 4.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
so he didn't really have, I mean, he didn't really have, like, that family unit
Mm.
of, I mean, he had his sister and his dad, but there really
But that was it.
wasn't, yeah, there really wasn't,
Wow.
which kinda sucks for him because he doesn't really have much, like, heritage kinda thing on that side. My
Yeah.
mom tried to track his,
Oh, like
um
the
the
ancestry?
ancestry thing, which
Ah.
is actually really interesting
Mhm.
because she tracked some of it back, but it's so confusing because,
Oh.
like, his grandma's mom had, like, 9 children from, like, several I don't know. It's so confusing, I just walk away, like,
Ah.
I don't get
You
involved.
are
I'm
who
like,
you are.
yeah, like, I gotta
That's
walk away.
it.
I don't know what you're saying, you know?
Man.
But yeah, it just kinda stinks because he didn't really have any kind of,
Yeah.
family to
Even to ask questions, or just to be
anything.
around.
There's really
Yeah.
nothing, and my ex-husband didn't really know much of, he didn't know his dad,
Okay.
so there's nothing from there.
Oh, wow.
There's kinda like we know he has siblings, but he's never met his siblings.
Oh.
So Brandon doesn't have any aunts or
Oh.
uncles. Yeah, I mean, he doesn't, we get the random few DNA matches on Ancestry,
Yeah.
but,
Yeah.
it's now that was cool. That was super
I
cool
did
to get
that.
Brandon's DNA back to
That's
see how
awesome.
much of
Comes from everywhere.
comes from, yeah,
Yeah.
everywhere in Africa, and then I was just like, "Holy crap, that would be super cool to see," where he's from. He got very I think it came back like he was 54% European, stuff from Europe, and
Yeah.
then like 40 something from Africa, and
Oh
just
my
to see like
gosh.
but he doesn't have like one specific big chunk from
Right.
anywhere. It was just like all this
He's
crap.
just like
Yeah,
white
he's just like this
salad. He's got all
giant,
that stuff put
yeah,
together.
but that was really neat to see.
Cool.
Yeah, but
Surprised.
yeah,
Well, thank you
you're
so
welcome.
much for your time and your energy and your stories.
I
I've
love what you're
enjoyed this.
doing.
Oh
Keep
my
doing
gosh.
it.
I love you so much.
I love you
Never
too.
ever change. Never ever ever change.
Well, thank you.
What?
I love you.
Bye guys.
Bye.
We hope you enjoyed today's episode. We want to be here for you, and we can't do what we're doing without your support. Please hit subscribe, and to stay up to date, head on over to mixedmovement.com. That's MIXDMOVEMENT.com to stay up to date with news and more. We are the Mixed Movement. See you next time.